because we did play around with it. We did sort of change stuff while doing it, and we did, and while doing that, we would always kind of we had this regular thing of Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. Who was going to call? I mean, that was the only day off. And who was going to call the other one first?
Yeah.
And it really was about that week, and a lot of it was about, if we do that to that scene, is it going to have implications for other, like for logistics further down the line?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Because the script is a roadmap in so many ways, and sometimes you change direction and that affects the rest of the journey. And so those conversations, Susanna and I were so in it. We were the only people who were sort of there every day. And you have to be vigilant about the work in front of you and be present with Monday's work, and you're not thinking about Friday. So by the time Sunday morning came, that was the only time we got to really consider the whole and keep ourselves on parallel tracks.
And what did you decide about what really motivates Jonathan Pine? At the end of that first episode, we see Angela Bier say, "Why are you doing this?" And you as an actor have to decide what he's really driven by, not what he says he's driven by. What did you figure out about him?
I know for myself what I think he's driven by, but it's one of those things where I'm hesitant because I also want
Yeah.
you to make your minds up. There are a whole host of things that it could be. Just gonna
He could be an idealist, or he could be just addicted to danger, or addicted to dangerous women. Did you have conversations about all of those things? The two of you?
Well, here's what I will say.
Don't say it.
No, I can say this. I think that in Le Carré's writing, and this isn't necessarily a clue, but it is something that I can talk about and have talked about. There is an extraordinary sense of moral principle and an anger, essentially, that really, through Bier and through Pine, there is an expression of John le Carré's own anger about what I think is a betrayal of honor by Roper. That Roper is a man who has been given so much. He is deeply blessed. He's been given all the freedom and the privilege of a British citizenship, of the education and the democracy, and that he's used those privileges to do the worst things imaginable, which in Le Carré's mind is deeply cynical. And I think that is the substance of the material, really, is that there is a conversation about moral duty within the breadth of the Night Manager itself.
Can I add? Of course. I think John le Carré is driven by a completely limitless hatred to hypocrisy. And part of the book, and part of that book is some kind of playing around with the sort of temptations of hypocrisy in all aspects of the word. And I think that's sort of also, and I think Jonathan put the excitement, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think part of the excitement about Jonathan Pine is sort of the enigma. Is he gonna stick to his moral mission, or is he going to be corrupted by the temptations of Roper's world? And I want to say, at this point, there is still a part of me in doubt.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, at this
By the
point,
way, Bier isn't the only character to ask him why.
No.
Throughout the course of the
Yeah.
series, people
Yeah.
keep challenging his motivation,
Yeah.
which is why I'm slightly sketchy about telling you.
Challenging his motivation and challenging in a sort of quite sophisticated way his identity.
well, you've both said at various times that actors are a little bit like spies. How so?
Sorry?
Actors are like spies, you've said. How? In what way?
He's a spy.
spying on you all right now.
Please.
I think, Le Carre's talked about it, about something in, he's fascinated by identity and the construction of it. There's so much about the things that signify our identity. And to what extent are we in control of those signifiers? You know, we tell, to give ourselves definition and self-esteem in the world, we all tell ourselves the story of ourselves, and we are reassured by the reflection of that story in the outside world, by our family and by our friends. We say, this is who I am, this is where I was born, this is who my friends are, this is what I like to eat, this is the music I listen to, this is how I dress. And unknowingly or knowingly, we put together a sense of identity. And I think a spy surrenders that identity, or allows for multiplicity and movement within it. In some way, actors do this too, which is allowing yourself to embrace your potential to be other things. You're not just one thing, you are not just one person, you can express many things. We contain multitudes, to bastardize Walt Whitman. There we go, so I'm now digressing. But I think I found this, I truly found this fascinating, and Le Carre himself has gone on record as talking about the similarity between acting and espionage. Is the ease with which you can surrender one identity and put on another and be convincing.
And I want to add that I do think that there is a potential deep loneliness, which is also really prevalent in Le Carre, and which is, by the way, also extremely prevalent in Jonathan Pine, and which is also quite common with actors, but of course, the secretness of being a spy is very, very different from the secretness of being an actor. I mean, the actors are not by nature forced to being as lonely as spies are. But but I think in a way it's a kind of an access to understand that whole process of being someone else.